The months and months of evaluation, watching film, arguing back and forth on Twitter and with Joe Smo, the NFL draft is behind us, and the Carolina Panthers have officially made their selections of 5 players to add to the team, not including undrafted free agents. But in this video today, we're going to do draft grades for each of the 5 picks. And I'm going to get a draft grade overall to this whole group just to figure out and get into the weeds and evaluate what I thought about each pick. I have my breakdowns on them as they happen, but I want to give a overall all-incumbent evaluation of everything. We're starting right now. What up, dude? It's Aaron Duncan here with the Necessary Bluntness Sports Talk, bringing you recap and analysis of the NFL and the Carolina Panthers. So make sure you are subscribed and hit the bell icon down below. I'm so close. I'm closing in on 10,000 subscribers. So please make sure you subscribe and give the video a thumbs up, because that thumbs up is going to help the algorithm know that you're engaging with this content and spread it out to like-minded individuals, aka other Panthers fans that can subscribe and help me get to that 10,000 goal. Please and thank you. Also, like I said, give the video a thumbs up if you have not. But I want to get you guys' thoughts. Give me a letter grade for the Panthers draft overall down below in the comments. I know we were all excited about Bryce, but that was the pick. We kind of knew it was going to happen going into it. So I want to get you guys' grade on how you feel about the class overall, though, down below in the comments. So let's start at the top at the #1 overall pick, Bryce Young, quarterback out of Alabama. I give this draft grade an A+. Bryce Young is the best overall quarterback in this class. You guys know the pocket presence, the ability to operate in the pocket, outside of the pocket, the smarts, the processing that he's been raved about, the accuracy, the ability to create and elevate his teammates around him, the leadership, the poise. He has everything you want except the size. And no, the size is a concern. Let's be frank. The size is a concern. Frank, no pun intended. The size is a huge concern. All right, let's just put it out there. However, the Panthers did upgrade their offensive line. Bryce Young can buy himself time and defend himself. We do have some of the best coaches that money can buy. And I think we're going to put together a system that does not allow Bryce Young to have to run around and buy time all the time, and he'll be able to get rid of the ball quickly. Not to mention he'll be supplemented by a phenomenal running game that's coordinated by James Campen and Deuce Staley. We also have Miles Sanders that we add in the free agency. So I'm expecting them to put together a great system to support Bryce. Whatever rookie quarterback that we drafted was going to be walking into a phenomenal predicament to operate in and grow in. So I think everything is set for Bryce Young to have some support early on and be that pick that we need him to be. He just has to stay healthy, but I still give this a A+ because he is one of the best players in this draft, and the Panthers went up, were aggressive, and got their guy. Will he be worth the draft capital that they gave up? We will soon find out. However, it is what it is. Whatever, if you find your franchise quarterback, he's worth whatever price you had to pay for him. I'll say it one more time. A franchise quarterback is worth whatever price you had to pay for him. The Panthers have been hurting, missing a franchise quarterback since Cam Newton left in 2019. So 4 years later, here we are with Bryce Young turning the page and being that franchise quarterback. If he works out, nobody's going to be crying about how much we gave up to get him. They're just going to be happy that we got him. I give him an A+. Moving on to our second round pick, Jonathan Mingo, who we selected with the number 39 pick, our original pick. Obviously, we traded that second round pick that we got for Christian McCaffrey, but we hung on there, took Jonathan Mingo, wide receiver out of the University of Ole Miss. I have to give this pick a B+. Now, I do love Jonathan Mingo's game. He has a similar body type to DJ Moore coming out. He's 6'1", 6'2", or so, 220 pounds with strong after the catch, a nice stiff arm. He's more of a guy that can run crossing routes. He's not the longest speed burner type of guy, but he can definitely get downfield, has good ball skills, can make contested catches down the field as well. I really like how he fits into our system, and this is a good attempt to start initially to try to replace our perennial 1,000-yard receiver who we lost, DJ Moore, in that Bryce Young trade. Now, the only reason I don't like Mingo for the most part is because possibly we could have traded back, got a little bit more value, and still got him, but there were some other second-round wide receivers that went after him as well. But I'm not mad at the Jonathan Mingo pick overall just because of what we did. There was some defensive guys there. Some people wanted to go corner like Cam Smith or something like that potentially, or maybe even tight end. But I think Mingo is a wide receiver help that we need. Somebody young to build with Bryce Young. Hopefully he can develop and be the next great Ole Miss wide receiver that's come out of this recent history. But Jonathan Mingo has all the makeup to be able to do that from, like I said, the skills, to be able to run those crossing routes, to be able to get those end arounds going in motion, playing in that slot. He's a good changeup and skill set. Another bigger wide receiver receiver that we're adding to this room. We went from a smaller wide receiver room to a lot bigger one now, adding a guy like Mingo who's big and strong. I like Mingo's game. Some people have comped him to Anquan Bolden. Some people have comped him to A.J. Brown, who's a strong guy that runs those crossing routes as well, intermediate routes, and can get yards at the catch because of his strength. So any of those guys that he comps to, if he turns out to be anything similar, I feel great about the potential there. And we only took a second-round pick. So I'm actually happy, and I give that a B+ for Jonathan Mingo. Moving on to the third-round pick, the Carolina Panthers at the number 80 pick. They traded up from 93 to number 80 to take DJ Johnson, an edge prospect out of the University of Oregon. Now, this pick had some side eyes and some mumbles and some complaints to the public, mostly because a lot of people hadn't heard of this guy. He wasn't on a lot of people's radar. Some experts said he might have been the sleeper of the draft. This guy is very versatile. He's played some time at tight end. He's an older prospect, though. Obviously, with the COVID years and just changing positions and stuff, and medically, he was able to get extra years, but he's coming out 24 and still raw. I'm always skeptical of guys that are older, that aren't really developed. Like, what were you doing in college that your game still needs more refinement? Like, is it going to take to the middle of your rookie contract or towards the back end before you really come around, and then you're 29 and 30 years old? So what are the benefits of him right there being an older prospect and still needing that much development? I'm not really mad at the player and the idea and the traits, because this guy ran the 4.4s and he's almost 260 pounds coming off the edge. And according to Ejiro Evero, what he told him on the phone, setting the edge first and then getting after the quarterback. So maybe they want to contrast the styles from Brian Burns on the other side, somebody can anchor and stop the run. He just needs to refine his pass rush moves, because sometimes he just rushes and doesn't have a plan. He has great effort, a great motor that runs hot, that doesn't stop, and I like that, and he's going to always play hard. I was watching the film on him against the University of Georgia, and they were getting destroyed in that opening week, but he was still hustling to the football, still running around, still playing, but you can just tell that he's going to need some refinement. Strong at the point of attack, has good strength, has good traits, but he's just not there, and he's going to be a rotational piece to start off with. Kind of puts me in the mind of Yetur Gross-Matos, except for he's going to have better coaching probably than Yetur had coming out, where he doesn't really rush with the plan sometimes. A lot of the times he just gets after the quarterback with extra effort, and that second rush when the quarterback tries to step up, you go up and retrace the quarterback steps and then get the sack. So I want to see him develop more pass rush moves and hopefully be able to be a guy like that can be on the edge and complement our rotation of guys. Ejiro Rivero signed up on this guy that kind of just gave him the ingredients to cook. I have to give this grade probably a C, because I don't think you needed to trade up for this guy to get him if you wanted to go there. If you took him at 93, you probably would have got a C+ at the best, because I still think that he could have fell a little bit further. However, I like the idea of at least addressing edge and have a guy in rotation. I fully expect them to go after a vet in free agency. Even though they have said kind of the opposite, I expect them to keep going, because right now I don't think we have enough at that other edge position. So that's why some people are thinking we should have went edge at that number 39 pick with Mingo. And who knows? So it's going to be some concerns, and we'll see. It's going to be something to pay attention to a lot, but I have to give the DJ Johnson draft a C. Next up, moving into the fourth round at the number 114 overall pick, we chose Chandler Zavala, offensive guard from North Carolina State. Now, we talked about it a little bit, how wide this guy's body is. He only gave up 8 pressures and 1 sack of the past few seasons. This guy, he's a wide low, guys, like one of those big 18-wheelers going down the interstate. This guy is going to clear some lanes, pairing up with him and Ike Ekwonu. I like the idea of this. He even sent a text to Scott Fitterer just saying, hey, don't forget about me, and he ended up getting drafted. James Campen was obviously ecstatic about this draft piece, because I think he knows what he'll be able to do with a big road grader like that with Ike. So having a side like Ike Ekwonu, Zavala, and then Bradley Bozeman, that's a huge left side of the line of scrimmage potentially. Now, will Zavala come in right away and start? I doubt it, but we don't necessarily need that. Obviously, Brady Christensen seems to be in better spots with health, but the other interior offensive line position with the recovery of Austin Corbett is going to be interesting to see how that goes and everything there. But I do like the addition of always picking up offensive linemen, because that clean bill of health that we had last year with the offensive line until that last week, that's very rare to not play many offensive line combinations. I think we had 2 offensive line combinations, and that was just because Pat Elflein got hurt. And to me, the only reason Pat Elflein going down, unfortunately, I hate calling it a blessing in disguise, but it finally force Matt Rule's hand to put Bradley Bozeman in there, or force his coaches had to put Bradley Bozeman in there to start, and our offensive line really never looked back. So having these large offensive linemen, especially in the interior, when you know you have a smaller quarterback, is going to be key. The New Orleans Saints always did that when they had Drew Brees. They always made sure that they kept that offensive line intact, and I love to see that they keep that even in the back of their mind. Make your strength, fortify your strength, make your strength stronger. You know what I'm saying? Keep adding depth. And I think Zavala can eventually develop into a starter. He may end up getting some time just based off of what we see with injuries. But I know with the rotation with Christensen, Cade Mays, who's still in the fold, and obviously Corbett returning, there's going to be a rotation there. For my grade for Chandler Zavala, I have to give this a B+. I love the Zavala pick. I know that he's going to need a little bit more refinement, so I even give it lean to an A- because if they can get him ready to start this year, I wouldn't mind. Because Brady Christensen, he's a smaller guy. He had a solid year last year, but I definitely think that we can upgrade from him. I'm not sure Zavala is an upgrade from that, because there's a few more things he needs to do as far as just being able to finish blocks, but he's gotten better at being able to latch on to guys. He has a good initial punch. I think him working with Icky is going to do wonders for his career, so I give this a B+. And could turn into an A- depending on how much playing time he gets. And last but not least, the 5th round draft pick, 145 in that round, Jamie Robinson, defensive back from Florida State University. Now, Jamie Robinson, he's not that big, but this dude is feisty. He's got that dog in him. You can definitely tell he's got that mentality. His post-draft interview, he was pissed off. He told the reporters that he was so mad because he knew 144 guys in the draft weren't better than him. He said that he cried all his tears on day 2 because he didn't get chosen. But in day 3, once he got the call, he was all business, because he said, I had no more tears to cry, and I just want to get ready to play ball. I'm coming in to play ball. He even told Ejiro Evero on the phone that he was going to be looking to start. He's going to be putting in the work every day. And Evero said, I'm going to hold you to that. Now, this guy may seem like a weird piece, and it may seem redundant because, isn't this game similar to Jeremy Chin or Von Bell, where he plays safety, plays in the nickel spot, and plays in the box? Where do we plug this guy in? I'm not exactly sure, but I know there's packages where Evero plays a lot of DBs, and the way this guy plays, the physicality, the mentality, the speed and the motor, the athleticism and the RAS score may not be there, but on film, this guy outplays all that athleticism stuff. You can put all that out the window. 2-time All-ACC, 1-time second-team All-American. This guy he's a feisty guy. They compare him to the Honey Badger because even though he's lacking in size and measurable athleticism, he has a nose for getting to the football, being physical, making plays, and playing with attitude. And that's the kind of dogs that we need on this defense. Former South Carolina Gamecock, so he has some rapport with Shi Smith and J.C. Horn, and you know those guys are dogs. So adding dogs like J.C. Horn, even Jamie Robinson, and guys like Von Bell in the secondary, I like the recipe for this. And if he can actually push for playing time like he claims he's going to do, that'd be great. But worst case scenario, you have a dog on special teams that we could pair up with a guy like Sam Franklin, who's also had that dog mentality too. And I think that Jamie Robinson can actually develop into a decent playmaker when giving some opportunity down the line. So if I had to put a grade on that Jamie Robinson pick in the 5th round for where it's at, especially thinking that with his accolades and his resume, I'm going to give it a solid B. You know what I'm saying? Like, the size are some concerns, and I would have went corner personally if I had the chance to, even though Darius Rush went off the board. But that was the last pick the Panthers had in the draft. I would have probably even traded back to get a later pick the way that some of the 7th round shook out, and got more picks, because there was a lot of guys that fell in this draft in the secondary. But regardless, Jamie Robinson is a playmaker. Clearly, Ejiro Evero loves his safeties. We've added a million safeties and nickels and DBs to the room. Jamie Robinson, he's a playmaker. He's not really going to be a straight free safety because he doesn't necessarily have the full speed to recover all the time, but he's also not going to be a box safety because he doesn't have the size to maintain and be there all the time. But he'll be running around, like I said, let him roam in the middle as a robber safety and just kind of let him give him free reign and make plays on the ball, let him use his instincts. I think that's something that Evero has in mind. I'm just going to let Evero cook for the most part, but I do give that a B. Overall for this Panthers team's draft, I'm going to say I'm a little disappointed from the lack of draft picks that we had, because we had 5. Obviously, we traded a lot to get Bryce Young, so we lost some draft picks, even the ones that we got from the Christian McCaffrey trade. Not as many trades as typical for Scott Fitterer. We traded up, but we did not really trade back and get more picks. I'm not sure exactly what the mentality was, but obviously undrafted free agent season will be upon us. But I do like that we kind of had some conviction and didn't trade, but I would have liked to get more players just to make it more competitive with this new coaching staff. So overall, I'm going to give this draft class a B-. And a lot of the heavy lifting has to do with Bryce Young being at A+, but I do love the idea of Jamie Robinson in that back end. It's one of the players I'm definitely going to be paying attention to, even though I'm a little confused why we didn't go corner. Regardless, I do love those 2 picks, and I think Mingo could have some potential to develop like those other Ole Miss quarterbacks. So you guys let me know down below in the comments, again, what do you give a grade for this draft class, and are you satisfied? Are you a little bit bothered? Are you mad? What position do you think we should have went with in the draft that we didn't address? Let me know down below. Without further ado, make sure you guys are subscribed. I'll see you next time. Peace.